To say that things are looking pretty bleak in Atlas right now is a bit of an understatement. Salem has made her move and is sending wave after wave of Grimm into the city. The army is soon to be overwhelmed, panic is breaking out, and the protagonists can't really do anything about it at this point. Oh, and this is the tame half of Volume 8, so things are going to go far and away downhill after this. But with that being the case, that means characters that we have come to know so far in the RWBY series are going to be getting injured, even more so than in the beginning of Volume 8, and we're going to see characters end up dying that we will never see again in the RWBY series. I've been saying for quite a while now, I think over a year, that Willow Schnee is going to meet her end in Volume 8 when Salem begins her attack, and with the way that Episode 7 of Volume 8 ended off, that seems like it's exactly what's going to happen. Ironwood's focus is now on the army that's advancing upon his city, on the Grimm Whale, and trying to find a way to deal with that, which is exactly what Salem wants. Ironwood's focus now being on that gives her much more of a free rein to focus on her actual goal of obtaining the Relic of Creation. And to do that, she needs to find the Winter Maiden, being Penny, who is currently incapacitated in the Schnee Manor. So RWBY, Weiss, Blake, and May are all going to be responsible for defending not only Penny, but the other injured party, Nora, as well. They are in a very disadvantageous situation right now, and when the Hound shows up at their doorstep, they are going to have one hell of a fight on their hands. This battle is one that will not be fought for victory, but for survival and escape. The only way that really being possible is if someone stays behind to buy time for the others, and I think that's exactly what Willow is going to do. Especially after seeing the connection that her son and daughter have made, that Whitley and Weiss have come to a sort of understanding will give her hope for their future, and the future of the Schnee Dust Company as a whole, assuming, of course, that the company survives in some way, shape, or form. The legacy that her father wanted the Schnee Dust Company to have, one of trust, one of helping others and uniting Remnant, something that Willow herself was never able to achieve, and unfortunately invited a stain upon it with Jacques. But seeing this hope in her children will make her want to do whatever she can to protect it. The final outcry of her soul might allow her to actually reach the levels that she had in her prime, from the time she was likely trained by her father, helping to guard dust shipments as they were taken across Remnant, protecting from Grimm and bandits alike, trying to uphold the values that her father held so dear. I think in her final moments, she will do whatever she can to protect those that she loves, to make sure that there will be hope for the future of Weiss and Whitley, and with this final outcry of her soul, be able to tap into that power that she once had. And perhaps we will see a level of summoning that we have not yet seen in the RWBY series. That being the ability to summon multiple large-scale Grimm at the same time. We saw a bit of this back in one of the Weiss trailers for Volume 5 when Weiss was training against Winter, and Winter had summoned multiple Beowulfs at the same time. We haven't seen that since, but I think Willow might be able to do so on a much larger scale. If we look at the little hints that we've gotten for Willow's summoning from the RWBY DC comics, we can see that it seems she's able to summon a full-scale Nevermore. And if this is something that she is putting her full soul into, we might see something pretty drastic. I could already see a scene forming in my head where Willow, in her final moments, the final outcry, telling the Hound that it will not get her children, to be able to summon something that would blow the roof off of the Schnee Manor, or at least the main hall of the Schnee Manor. Summoning a Nevermore, perhaps maybe as big as the one Maria fought? Maybe not that big, that might be pushing it a little bit, but I think Willow has a vast amount of capabilities that we will see in her final moments, but in doing so likely expend the last of her life, even before the Hound would be able to kill her, not having trained for over a decade or tried to summon within that time before she took to locking herself in the study, and then all of a sudden throwing herself into this battle, pushing herself past her limits to protect her children. It would be something that I don't think her soul would be able to take, and she might end up collapsing by the end of it, her aura spent and her life over. I think she will be able to buy enough time for RWBY, Weiss, Blake, May, Penny, and Nora to be able to escape, but the Hound will not be dead after this and will pursue them afterwards. there is going to have to be a number of other things that end up happening. Cinder, of course, is going to show up and likely encounter them when they are either in the ship trying to fly away and escape, or if the ship ends up being destroyed, if the Hound destroys it beforehand, then they will encounter them running through the streets of Atlas, as well as other Grimm along the way. So there's a lot that is going to happen in Volume 8, that's for sure, but with everything that is going on, especially if the Hound catches up to Whitley and Weiss, and both of them knowing what it means that the Hound shows up, that their mother was not able to defeat it, knowing that their mother was likely no longer alive, would make both of them furious. And I would be interested to see what this would pose for both of them. Weiss may reach new levels of her power, and this could pose a moment for awakening for Whitley, as his soul begins to cry out, and he will carry on the Schnee legacy in more ways than one. This is something I am not necessarily looking forward to, as I really don't want to see these characters go through that much pain, but this is going to be a very interesting character moment for everyone to go through. There's been a number of people pointing to Willow's death for a while now. I have said this in numerous different videos, and a lot of people have commented that Willow has the stereotypical anime mother hair that really indicates that she's probably not going to survive to the end of the series. So I do think that this is where Willow is going to meet her end, in the Schnee Manor, making her final stand for her children. The place where she likely grew up. I don't know exactly how long the Schnee Manor has been around, but I would imagine that Nicholas Schnee was the one who built it. This is where Willow grew up, and this is where she will end up meeting her end. But overall, let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. Do you think that Willow Schnee will meet her end in Volume 8? At this point, I really don't see any way around it, with Salem's target going to be the Schnee Manor, where the Winter Maiden currently is held, the Hound heading there, and Cinder eventually, once she reunites with Watts. I think that some sacrifices are going to have to be made, and Willow is going to be the one to bear the brunt of it. For the first part, at least. Dealing with Cinder is another matter entirely, but when it comes to the Hound, I think Willow will make her last stand against it. Do you think it will play out exactly as I described, that Willow will defend the Schnee Manor, or do you think she'll try to escape with the others, and then something else will happen along the way where she stays behind, tries to buy time, etc.? We did see a brief clip on Twitter that was for, I'm gonna guess, episode 8 of Volume 8. We saw the Schnee Manor. Willow had come out of her room, and she had mentioned something about a generator, that Klein was needing the generator to try to help Penny and Nora, so there's probably going to be something with that. Someone goes out to fix the generator, the Hound shows up, takes a prisoner, and tells them to hand over the Winter Maiden, trying to do it that way, or something along those lines. And then Willow will make her stand, etc. So let me know your thoughts down in the comments below. What do you think is going to happen for the next half of Volume 8, which is going to be a lot less tame than this half, to give a hint as to what's to come. So yeah, not going to be that great. I have many other ideas and many other plans for videos to come. This one was kind of more of a setup for those videos to come. It was a bit of a rehash of old ideas, as I've had this idea of Willow's demise in mind for quite a while now, but I certainly feel that it deserved its own video, as it's probably going to be one of the more significant events to come in the remaining episodes of Volume 8. I didn't really mention how Winter Schnee would react to all of this, because at the moment her focus is elsewhere and wouldn't even find out about any of this happening until later. And there's also the possibility that she may not survive until the end of Volume 8. I really hope that she does. I hope that Willow does as well, but, you know, everything's up in the air at the moment. And if the Hound does end up being Summer Rose, then that would mean that Ruby's mother, in a roundabout way manipulated by Salem, ended up killing Weiss's mother, which could add to the increasing complexity of the entire situation. So a lot of things to think about with even just this one little situation here. So with that being said, I'll stop talking, and I'll ask you guys to make sure that you subscribe if you guys want to see more RWBY content like this. If you guys did enjoy this video, there is plenty more to come. So with that, tweet me at PhoenixKnight7, and I'll see you guys in the next video.